Welcome to Resi Studio. So in this video, we're gonna do something very different. We're gonna be examining something that I was like playing around in Unity, but in VR. So moving in VR comes in different options that are already well known to VR gamers. You can either smooth motion and use your thumbstick and your controller to move around and turn. And for teleportation, you usually just point to a spot and move there. Coming up with new ways to move around in VR can be tricky. And when we have a unique way, the real question is, can we do it in Unity? So on September 15, 2023, Monsieur VR shared a promotional video on Twitter or X, what I call it X. So they show a promotional video on Twitter for the Monsieur Motion Vest, which is a 360 movement system where you're either standing or sitting and you naturally move and your movement is passed as a omnidirectional movement on VR. I made a small comment on Twitter if I can replicate something like this on Unity, and I was able to do it. The task is very straightforward to understand. When I, the player wearing the headset, tilt to either side, forward, or back, I need to move into that direction. So here in Unity, I have a VR project already running, and I'm using the XR Interaction Toolkit package from Unity in order to use my headset. So for this little endeavor, I just created two new scripts that will allow me to get the input based on my tilt and depending on the input value, where I should be moving. So one of them is called tilt move. I have it here on my XR player, on the parent XR player. So it has the tilt movement here. So let me open it up. So even though it's very small, the script inherits from the continuous move provider based from the XR interaction toolkit. By inheriting from the continuous move provider base, I have access to the following method, which is the read input. So it will allow to read the current value of the X and Y that I assign it to, and it will behave accordingly based on those input. So it's a very simple script. So the question is, where do I get the input? If we go back to the Unity project, I have the other second script that I created is called Tilt Move Identifier. It is located in four of the following game object. Each of these game object has a box collider, the Tilt Move Identifier script, and a rigid body and a position constraint component. So let us open the script. So the tilt move identifier was my approach to reading a tilt and moving into that direction. So I have my variables and I have a untriggered state based on the colliders of the object. And once my camera or my main camera that I'm moving with my headset collides with one of the objects, depending on their ID, is the input value that I will assign them is. So this is the input my tilt mode script is reading based on. So let us go back to Unity and we're just playing on the reason on the Y. So here I have a small children objects inside my main camera from my XR player. So each of these objects that I call them sensor in a way, they're the one responsible that depending on which one I hit is the input that I'm being assigned to, like I explained with the script. So each tilt sensor or each object has a, like I said before, a box collider, the script, the rigid body position constraint. So the box collider has to have the is trigger enabled. The using the tilt move identifier, I put them a ID in order to, this is the forward tilt, this is the back tilt, this is the left tilt, and this is the right tilt sensor. Since all of them holds the tilt move identifier, they have a reference to the main tilt move reference script, tilt move here on my XR player. And we have each of them has a rigid body, which has the gravity disable in order to make it work. Maybe I should have removed them. Anyway, was my way and it worked, so I'm not gonna do much. The only one that I'm gonna explain how it works is this lovely component called position constraint. This component can stop the movement of an object based on the x and y and z axis following a source object. So in this case, my source object is here my sources is the camera offset child object from my XR rig player, and each sensor can move on the Y, on the up and down, but they need to constrain or do not move on the X on Z axis. So if I move my head either left or right or back and forward, all of these game objects will not move. Yes, you can crouch and you can jump and they will align with that Y, but they will not move on the X and C, which is the one that I needed to stop moving in order for me to tilt and make it workable. So once I have everything set up, I should connect my headset and hit play. So in conclusion, I attempted to recreate the Monsieur VR motion vest movement on Unity. It was a fun way to move around VR and it makes you wonder how to improve it and make it usually usable in a game. So what do you think? Would you happen to know if I did well? This is more experiment process. But thank you so much for watching the video. So until next time, have a lovely day.